Hello everyone, today is going to be a shorter video than normal. I'm going to be looking at this CPU cooler. It is from ZALMAN. It's not a brand you see very often these days. They had some financial trouble a while back and you don't see much stuff. They're still around. They do various things these days, but back when this was originally purchased, they were well known for their CPU coolers. A lot of them are copper. Those flower types, that kind of thing. But this one's a little bit different. It is for the Windows 98 machine. So socket 370 and 462. It is the CNP S6000 CU. Now, it's for Duron Intel Via chips. So it's rated for certain frequencies. And the reason for that is it isn't a traditional cooler. Now it references particular speeds for the fan. This comes with a different fan, and I'm hoping I don't need it. So without further ado, let's open it up. As you can see, this isn't how it was originally packaged, but it's how I got it. So we get a good old user manual telling you how to install it. But we'll get into that in a minute. Various tools. It doesn't come with the original fan. So we have a Noctua fan here. This was not the original. And we have various mounting brackets. Now, you'll see something odd in a second. Here is the heatsink. So let's get this open. Let's hope it's not taped up too much. There we go. Now, isn't that a wonderful piece of copper? So normally you get like flower designs, but this is a bit of a strange thing. So as you can see, this is the fan that size is supposed to come with it. And as you can see, no obvious mounting. So that will sit on the machine like so, and the fan via various brackets will hover over the top, and you can position it any way you wish, any size fan you want. So you go for a much bigger one if your case could hold it. And it's a bit of an odd one because it won't work on every case, because you mount it using this bracket. And it will go onto your PCI slots here. So you attach it there. So it will go above your various cards, hopefully, because you've got a bit of a lip. Depends on the size. And then your fan will attach just via one screw, like so, and just float around and be positioned how you want. So a little weird. Now, since I'm using a 30-watt Pentium III, and that is a bit of a hefty heatsink, I'm going to see if we can get away with running it passive to start with. The board does have overheat protection in the form that it will beep at you when it gets hot, at which point you shut it down very quick. So I want to see what happens. So let's go install this on the machine, shall we? And see what we get. What I'm going to do is quickly remove the RAM just to get it out of the way. There we go. Unplug this. I might still want to use that if we still need a fan. I suppose just get this heatsink off. I always hated these clip things, but taking them off was always incredibly easy. Putting them on, not so much. Let's just give that a quick wipe. Though I could have probably reused it because it's only been on there for a couple of weeks. But no harm in quickly cleaning it off. any old thermal paste will do. I mean, I'm using Noctura's one that comes with most of its heatsinks. It's not the best, but it isn't the most high-powered chip either. You don't need much, just a little bit. Nothing too much, you just need a little bit to spread out. In fact, I might put a tiny bit more on. There we go. Now, for whatever reason, I have 3 brackets. They all seem to be identical, and I'm not entirely sure why I have 3. So I've measured them, they seem the same. And it is basically as simple as pop the heatsink on, if you can see that, and just clip it in place. So it's not particularly difficult. Now I have pre-cleaned this, so which way do we want to go on? We've got to go on that way, I suppose. This is quite heavy, so hopefully it won't damage the chip, though obviously it was designed for it. Let's just line that up and drop that in like so, and just clip on the shorter side first. These are always a bit fiddly. I think that's in position, yep. And then just clip that on there. It's actually quite difficult to do it via the camera. There we go, that's on. Now, rather than having to fiddle around with screwdrivers and stuff, it does provide a very little handy tool. Just there's a little hole in the top. Just push it down and snap into place. So that's pretty secure. So it was just pop it into the hole and push it down. So that's quite a useful tool. I might keep that around. Now, at this point, you would install the fan, something like this. So you would attach it on top of here, like so, on top of your various cards, and you would have your fan attached via a single screw. Somewhere along here, you can attach it on top, or attach it underneath, or attach it like that. It doesn't really matter. You have the freedom to attach it all the way along here, or along there. What I want to try is something else. I'm going to plug the fan in. And I'm just going to have it over here, just so I can move it into position if the thing is overheating. What I would say is, don't do what I'm doing. Attach the fan and maybe slow it down, but I want to be able to just freely move it around to see what we get. And let's see if it is stable under any kind of load. Though I have had it before where these chips will blow up immediately, so I'm just going to just... Which way is it? I'm assuming it's that way. Just going to leave it loose there for the minute when we boot. That's a bit of a mess, doesn't it? Well, let's get it booted and see if we can actually remove the fan and have a nice passive system, shall we? Now, I don't know what I'm expecting, but let's see what happens. Let's just turn that there so you can see what's going on the screen. I think everything's wired up. There we go. So the fan is spinning. It's not complaining. Well, there we go. That's booted with no issues. Wasn't expecting any, if I'm honest. Right, let's get some monitoring software on here and let's see what we can find out. Well, I installed some monitoring software. I thought this motherboard had sensors on it, but clearly I'm mistaken. So you can only really monitor the GPU, which is not very helpful. The CPU is a 26 watt according to HW Info, which I suspected anyway. So we might be able to get passive, but I'm going to have to do all the readings manually using a thermometer, which isn't going to be very accurate, but it's going to be the best we got. So without further ado, let's go take some measurements and see how well it holds up under pressure. Right, so with the fan attached, we're getting around about 25 degrees. With the fan removed, we're getting about the same. So it's not spiking up or anything. So that's pretty good so far. I'm going to leave that about 20 minutes. See what the temperature is, and then, because in theory the temperature should keep building up if it can't disperse it quick enough. And let's see what we get. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes of it being idle. So I had a little play. I can't seem to get any temperature software for this motherboard that actually works. I mean, that's not unusual, but that is the case. So let's see what we got. So yeah, okay, it's gone up about, what, 10 degrees. That's perfectly acceptable, since it can go up to 70 officially. Yeah, so one thing about these CPUs compared to modern ones is they always run at their highest clock speed anyway. But let's put it under some load and let's see what we get. So I'm gonna run a 3D Mark 99. Sorry for the aspect ratio. We'll just keep an eye on it. Nothing too interesting. I don't expect it to go up anymore. And what's the GPU sitting at? GPU I know sitting about, what's the focus? Sitting about 40. This is a cheap thermometer, it's not very accurate. So yeah, so it's about 5 degrees. So it's probably about 40 degrees. Because reading from the heatsink, it's not quite perfect. Oh, we've actually gone up a degree. Let me switch it to non-laser mode. That seems to pick up a broader temperature. Yeah, so we are going up. So putting it under some stress is whacking it up a little bit. And that's warm. That actually feels warmer than that. Okay, well I'm going to let that run a couple of times and then I'm going to come back and see what the temperature is. As long as it stays under about 50 degrees, I think I'll be happy with that. So, another 20 minutes. Okay, it's been about, what time is it? It's been about an hour. So, put it on laser mode. So the GPU, so which is the focus. Zoom out a bit. It's running about 45 degrees. The machine's reporting about 50, so this is about 5 degrees off. We're reading at the heatsink, which is fine. So we're getting, I'd say, based on that, we're sitting around 45 degrees. Now I'm kind of happy with that. That heatsink's hot to the touch. You're not going to burn your hand or anything, but it's hot. This one, doesn't feel as hot. Now, I don't know how well this will perform in an actual case, because that's warm, and obviously this is an open case. Fan's still over here, but it's facing away from the case. So there's probably a little bit of airflow in the room. Not a lot though, granted. So when I put this in a case, I may attach a case fan somewhere. I mean, I can't, this is silent. I can't hear this at all. So it's quite a nice fan, they always are. But going for a silent build, I don't know. Putting a fan in kind of seems like you've lost. There's a 42 there. So yeah, how this would fare throughout a whole day, I don't know. Would I be playing and using this for an entire day? Yeah, I suppose I will. If I'm playing a longer game, yeah, I could quite easily see me sitting there and leaving this machine on all day. Quick edit here. I did test it for about 36 hours after I recorded that, and it's hit about 55 degrees round about the 8-hour mark, and it sat there for the rest of the time. I monitored it every few hours and it just sat around about the 55 mark, so that's round about the max temperature that I expect to see from this heatsink in an open bench. I mean, they've all tested to put it in a case, isn't it? So that'll be the next step. I'm pretty much happy with this machine as it is now. It would be nice to get some more RAM, or some better RAM in there, and maybe a faster graphics card. The 6500 would be quite nice, or 6600. Does come with a passive heatsink. That way I would have quite a powerful, well, incredibly powerful Windows 98 machine. In fact, this is overkill. This GPU is more than enough, but it's nice to try. So that's where I want to leave it, really. We potentially have a passively cooled Windows 98 machine. That's gone up a little bit. If we get just in between there, temperature's a bit higher. So I want to put this in the case next and have a proper play with it and wire everything up correctly and put it into its final home. Now, this won't be a completely fanless build to begin with because the power supply that I'll be using will have a fan in it. I plan to replace it with a fanless version, but further down the line. So that's all I want to say today. Thank you for watching. Bit of an odd one, bit of a long one. A lot of me just taking measurements of a heatsink. Yeah, it's not getting any hotter, is it? So, if you like what you saw, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. I tried to do a lot of, or going to be trying to do a lot of passively cooled machines. I do like them. Who wants noise? And a silent Windows 98 machine is just one thing I always wanted, because they always had very loud fans and very clacky hard drives. But now, even then really, this is an old heatsink. It could have been achieved. Of course, this card's a bit newer, but it could have been achieved decades ago. And I would have loved it back then, and I love it now. So I think I'll leave it there. Hopefully I'll have some other videos coming up soon. I've had a lack of time to why this video is here. I plan to do this and put it into case in the same video, but I don't have time. I have another video coming out, which is currently in editing. It's taking longer than I would like. So until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.